If you have been on my channel for any amount of time, you will know that I love to do a challenge called Pan That Palette. Now, Pan That Palette is a project pan where you take an eyeshadow palette for the year, it normally lasts about a year, and you try and use it up completely in that year, or come as close as humanly possible to using it up in the year. So last year I panned the Modern Renaissance palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this year I'm doing a mix of That's Taupe and Blue Moon. Now, I learned a lot from Pan That palette last year. This is a little sneak peek of my Pan That palette. I learned a lot, and I learned what not to bring in to pan that palette for a challenge. And today I thought it'd be such a fun idea to go through my makeup collection and pick out pan that palettes from hell. Different reasons why. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that I hate these palettes. It doesn't mean that they're bad quality. I'm going to go into all of my thoughts and opinions in this video. But just before we do jump into the video, if you have not already, definitely like and subscribe. I upload every single day here on my YouTube channel. I love bright, fun, colourful makeup. This look will be a Get Ready With Me where my new dog picks my makeup. So definitely stay tuned because it is such a fun video coming live. But without further ado, I'm just going to jump straight into it. No particular order. I'm just going to grab a palette and go. So the first palette that I'm going to talk about is the Soft Glam palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. So this is the sister palette to my Pan That palette last year. So I definitely know the formula and the quality of this, but it is very, very neutral, and for that reason, I just don't think that I could handle it. Not only is this very, very neutral, it's also warm neutrals. Now, if I'm gonna go for neutrals, as you probably saw in my That's Taupe palette, I'm gonna go for cool tone neutrals. The only cool tone shade is Dusty Rose down here. I know this would be the first one done. I'd be able to finish Cypress Umber because that's a really nice brow shade. I'd be able to finish Tempera, definitely, as like a lid setting shade. Maybe I could hit pan in a few of the other shades, but I cannot foresee myself finishing more than 3 shades from here. The shimmers just aren't the shimmery, bright, glistening, beautiful duochrome shades that I personally love. It's a very, soft glam. It's a very soft glam palette. The name of this obviously is what this palette is, so I really can't be bashing it that much. I think I do a lot of damage on Noir because I do love starting a lot of my eye looks with a black. I have used a black to start this eye look today, but I am so burnt out with warm tones still. Because of Modern Renaissance, it was very red, very pink, very orange, and there are some overlap shades in this palette as well. So Cypress Umber is a overlap shade, Tempera is as well, Burnt Orange is there anything else? I think, is Orange Soda? No. I panned it for a year, you'd think that I'd remember, but I think I've just blocked it all out. But this would be a Pan That palette from hell because it would just give me flashbacks to Modern Renaissance every time that I use this, I think. This was in the running to be Pan That palette this year, and I think I just realised I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm so glad that I've dragged myself away from warm tones because I've been loving my cool tones recently. So soft glam, absolutely not. Now, considering that I've just said I absolutely love cool tones, you'd think that the Natasha Denona Glam palette would be the perfect Pan That palette for me. It is very, very cool tone. It's definitely got the shades that I gravitate towards on an everyday basis. However, this would also be a Pan That palette from hell for me for a number of reasons. First of all, for everyday, it would be quite nice. However, again, I love colour. I love this. You can see in my Pan That palette this year, I do have a row of blues because blue is my happy colour. I say that all the time. I love blue so much. So I want to have this like fun row. This is just very neutral and I don't really like the quality. I know I've been on Natasha Denona rants a hell of a lot on my channel, so I will keep it brief. However, I think Natasha Denona is extremely overhyped. I don't see it personally. I don't see the hype personally, but that's okay. The shades that I would finish, I think I could finish all of the mattes. I really think that I could. I'd get very bored, but I could do it. I think I could probably finish this shade in a corner. It's a really shimmery, beautiful formula. Maybe like one of these taupey shades, maybe one of the other shimmers on the bottom row, but I just think I'd get very, very bored, and I just don't think I'd be able to do it. That and the fact that Natasha Denona is so firmly pressed, it is ridiculous. So this would take an eternity to finish anyway. I don't know if I'd be able to do it in a year. I don't even know if I'd be able to finish these mattes in a year, but it is what it is. This shade Smoke could be a good brow shade maybe, so that could be a way to use it. But I would just get so bored. I'd get so bored. I like super dramatic looks. Even if I am going quite neutral, I'd still want it to be like deep and smoky and really intense. You can only really do very basic looks with this palette. I just don't find the quality to be there at all. Sorry, Natasha Denona stans, but she is definitely a Pan That palette from hell. Maybe at first glance, she'd be quite nice. After a month, no. That's something that I really love as well. I got really burnt out last year with my Pan That palette. Literally, I think it was like March, April time. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Right now, I feel amazing with all of my project pans. I'm so happy with all of them. I'm not burnt out in the slightest, so that's also a very, very good sign. Next, let's talk about something a little bit different. We've talked about two very neutral palettes, but let's talk about a colourful palette. This is the Colourpop Main Squeeze, and this is a bright, bright red eyeshadow palette. Now, I'm looking at this palette, and I really don't think there is one shade that I would be able to finish. Even if you gave me like 3 years, I just don't think I'd be able to do it. Maybe Juicy Fruit, maybe. But other than that, I really don't think I could. I do have a pan on red bottoms. I do use this as a winged eyeliner every now and then, and it's really, really nice. It's a nice contrast to either like some taupes or some blues or things like that. I do like using that as a wing. Other than that, I do not use this palette much at all. Red as a colour scares me quite a lot. I don't like red lips and I don't like red eyes. Well, I do like red eyes, but I never ever find myself reaching for them, and I never ever find myself wanting them. This is a palette that I have to like remind myself to use, and the reason why it's still in my collection is because I do enjoy it. When I really think, right, I'm gonna do a red look, I really, really do enjoy it. It just doesn't come into my brain to do that at all, really, and for that reason, this would be Pan That palette from hell. This would also give me PTSD because of Modern Renaissance. There was, I think, 2 red shades in Modern Renaissance, and I can't do it. Maybe if it wasn't for Modern Renaissance, I would be using this a lot more because, as I said, red isn't a colour that I reach for much, and because I was so focused on finishing a red for so long, it just kind of made me not want to reach for this at all. So it's not that I never use reds. I think I am just still a little bit burnt out by reds, and that's okay, that's fine. But this one, Pan That palette from hell, I honestly don't think one shade would be finished. So I'm definitely avoiding that. Next, let's go back to Natasha Denona. Now, some people may be like, but I thought blue was your happy colour. This is the Natasha Denona Mini Trio Chrome palette. And yeah, blue is my happy colour. So in theory, this palette would be perfect for me to project pan. However, in practice, I would get maybe a month in and then just want to cry. This was also in the running to be Pan That palette, or part of my Pan That palette this year. And the amount of people who commented and messaged me and said, do not do it. Don't do it. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to listen to you. I'm not going to do it. I do have 2 pans in here already, so we're off to a good start. However, I just find these don't blend. They don't blend. And this duochrome is so pathetic. It's almost like a satin formula. If I'm going to put a shimmer on my eyes, I want something like this. I want something that is so blinding and vibrant and special. This is just like, meh. It's fine. This is an inner corner. I'd be able to finish this. I did use this as a highlight every now and then when I did do super dramatic blue looks. So maybe I'd be able to finish this shade. But the others, I really don't think so. I use this as a wing a lot as well, like a blue wing. I really, really love that. But again, an inner corner and a wing does not require any blending. So they were my saving graces for this. I was very, very glad when this rolled out of my project level up because I just didn't want to reach for it anymore. I do still have it in my collection because like there is still hope. There is that still like collector's mentality. It's like, oh, well, I bought it and Natasha Denona and maybe not. I will have to pull out this palette sometime this year and just kind of give it a go again because I do want to. I want to give it a go again. I have learnt recently that with Natasha Denona, you need to start with the lighter shade and then build the depth. I typically start with the darkest shade and then blend everything out, so darkest to lightest. I've learnt that you can't do that with Natasha Denona. So since learning that, maybe I should use this again and see how things go. But for right now, no. The only saving grace, well, there are a few. It's blue, which is great, but there are only 5 shades. So that is also going in this one's favour as well. Next is one that I thought about straight away when I started thinking about planning this video. And then I'm looking at it and now I'm like, am I crazy? But maybe I could do this. This is the Odens Rosy Jingle eyeshadow palette, and this was their Christmas release this year, well, last year technically, and this was very kindly sent to me in PR, but this is very pink and girly. I'm not a very pink and girly colour story person. Again, I love my blues, I love my grungy tones, I love my cool tones. This is not that. However, there are some shades in here that I really think I could finish. The shade Warmth is that beautiful taupey neutral shade that I love. The shade Sparkling is obviously a blue. I love blue. The shade Pure Silver is like the most beautiful shimmery pairing to this matte. I think I could finish that. The shade Toffee, I could finish that. Maybe even these 2 shades, Dreamy and Blue Ocean. I think I could finish those as well. The shade Radiant is a beautiful chartreuse, and I love chartreuses. And then Celebration Heart is like the most beautiful, like crazy duochrome. So you know what? Maybe I could do a really good job with this. This again was one where I was like, yeah, there are these like pinky warm tones that I'm really not that interested in, but there are also some really, really nice cool tones and blues and colours that I enjoy as well. So maybe I could finish this. Not finish this. It's a bit too keen. But you know what? Maybe I could do some damage on this. Even these pinks, maybe I could use as like blushes or blush toppers or things like that. This yellow could be a great pop for a blue look. I don't know. I just think that I could do some damage on this. Call me crazy, but here we are. I did actually like this palette. I did do a review of this and the Silvery Bliss, which was the sister palette. I really did enjoy this. So maybe, you know what? Maybe this isn't a pan that palette from hell. I think I'd get a good few months use on this. However, I could foresee maybe like 4 months in being like, I'm really fed up of just using these 2 shades every day. Because I think that's what would end up happening. I think I'd just end up using these 2 shades every single day and then just neglecting the rest of the palette, which is not really the point of pan that palette. So I don't know, this one's on the fence. Let me know, what do you think of this? Next, let's go back to Colourpop. Oh boy, this is the Orange You Glad palette, and I think this is the most neglected Colourpop palette in my collection, but you know what? I think I could finish a good 3 shades in this palette. So again, I'm getting Modern Renaissance flashbacks, I'm getting war flashbacks right now. This is very Modern Renaissance vibes. However, the shade Zested, I think I could use as a lid setting shade every day, so I think that could be good. The shade Creamsicle is kind of like a neutral-ish. It's kind of verging on orange to neutral. And then this shade You Peel Me is like a really nice outer corner deepening shade. So you know what? Maybe I could finish 3 out of this 9 pan palette, Possibly. Would I enjoy it? Probably not. But I think I could do it. And also Colourpop shades are notoriously difficult to hit pan on as well. There are no gimme shades in this palette. With my That's Taupe, there are a few gimme shades where I dip in once and just kick up, comes out. There is none in this. This is very, very firmly pressed. This is that typical Colourpop formula. It is difficult. And I really think that I'd get a few months in and be like, no, I can't do it. I'm getting modern Renaissance flashbacks. I'm struggling, gritting my teeth. I cannot do this anymore. So yeah, this would definitely be a Pan That palette from hell. Even though I think there is like one gimme shade. I could get one. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that as a win. I could get one. But other than that, no. Clementine, maybe I could use... I was going to say on my nails, but I get them done professionally, so no, I can't even do that. Like, no. The next palette is one that may actually surprise you because I genuinely love this palette. This is the BPerfect Carnival XL Pro, and this is one of my favourite palettes of all time. However, the size of this is ridiculous, and I would get overwhelmed within a week. I think if I was ever going to pan this palette, I'd have to break it down into sections. So what I was actually going to do, one of my Pan That palette thought processes this year was to have this in as Pan That palette, but just focus on these 2 rows. You can see I have completely finished this shade down here, so that's an amazing start. And I was just going to say, you know what? I'm just going to try and finish these 2 rows, and then maybe every month I'd have a focus shade to hit pan on, or maybe I'd like dip in every now and then, but like these 2 rows would be my Pan That palette, and if I don't finish anything else, that's fine. Maybe I could do that, but just the size of this, the sheer size of this, makes me want to cry sometimes, and also just overwhelming. It is so overwhelming. It's a lot. I think if these rows were not there and it was just this palette, I think that would be amazing because again, I love my neutrals and I love my blues and greens. This shade here was like a unexpected favorite. I really love this side of the palette. This side would not get a look in. And to travel as well with this, trying to travel anywhere, no. I do my makeup on the bus once a week and I always use my Pan That palette because it is so small, so tiny, I can throw it in my makeup bag. Traveling anywhere with this would be a nightmare. It would just be insane. So this would definitely be a Pan That palette from hell because oh my god, no, I couldn't do it. I mean, I'd love to get some use on this though. I'd love to get more use. This was my focus palette in Pan Those Eyeshadows last year, so every month I would pick a new shade to hit pan on, and I hit pan on a lot of shades doing that as well, so I'm really, really proud of that. However, as a Pan That palette, too much. We need to calm down. I have 2 palettes left to talk about now. So the next palette is going to be the Colourpop It's My Pleasure palette, and this is very, very purple. Now, again, a few of these shades I think I could finish, but the majority of this palette makes me want to cry just thinking about finishing this. I think I could get a few really nice looks with it. Like, I'm wearing purples today. I really like purples every now and then. I'm starting to kind of like them a lot more than I did. I used to be fully against pink and purple, did not like them at all. I still don't really like pinks, but purples I'm kind of, maybe every now and then. However, these, like this shade is actually hell to me. The shade Bare Minimum, it's like a super warm tone, almost reddy purple. That is my idea of hell. I'm not doing that. There was a shade like that in my Sofx Revolution palette, and if you were here for that, you're a veteran girl. That shade was hell. I really don't like how these kind of super warm tone purples look all over the lid. I just don't like it. The shade Pretty Cruel, Earthshine, and Mr. Sandman, so this like diagonal line, I think I could get a lot of good use on those shades. Pretty Cruel is kind of like a mauvey purple, which is more everyday. It's not purple. So I think I could do a lot of damage on that, to be honest. Earthshine as an inner corner is really, really nice. It's kind of like a pale purple. And Mr. Sandman is kind of like a taupey purple shimmer. So I think I could do really well on that. But the rest of this palette, no. I could do it for a very short amount of time. But no. Like things like this, really nice. Full purple looks every single day makes me want to cry. I can't do it. I will never do it. This would definitely be Pan That Palette from hell. And I have one more palette to talk about today. Now again, this is one of my favorite brands. I love this palette, but as a Pan That palette, no. This is the Pastel Roses Crushed Diamonds quad, and it is the quad number 2. It is an all pink quad. Now going off what we have just said about the It's My Pleasure, you can probably guess why this is Pan That Palette from hell. And you're not escaping them. You're not escaping them. I think there is a really fine line when it comes to Pan That Palette. You need a palette that's small enough to be able to be finished in a year, but also big enough to give you some choice. There is no choice in here. You've got your deepening shade. You've got your blending shade. You have a choice of shimmers. But that's it. I love these palettes for convenience. I love these palettes for like throwing in a makeup bag for a day that you don't really want to think about what makeup you're doing. But having it as Pan That Palette and using this every single day and doing pretty much the exact same look every single day, plus it being pink, can't do it. Cannot do it. I think this would be the Pan That Palette from hell. I think this would be the capital THE. This would be the Pan That Palette from hell. I don't even think I get a week, to be honest. I really, really don't. I don't think I get a week. So yeah, this, the champion. I think that's the champion by far. But this is it. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. I thought this would be a really fun little concept to do. Let me know if you enjoyed it. If you did, definitely like and subscribe. Also comment down below for the algorithm. It really helps me out. Let me know, what would your Pan That Palette from hell be? Maybe it's the Blue Moon palette, which is actually my Pan That palette right now. It is so interesting to see different people's perspectives and point of view when it comes to makeup. Maybe something in this video is actually your dream Pan That palette. Let me know all your thoughts down below. But with that being said, this is where I'm gonna love you and leave you today, guys. I hope you have an incredible day, and I will see you tomorrow for a brand new video. Bye bye.